Hi, this is Joey O'Neill from Sound Systems Incorporated in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Today we're going to be looking at the audio mixer, the audio console at Shepard of the Sea Lutheran Church in Garden City, South Carolina. This is a general overview. We're going to do training with the church staff, but I'm going to document a little bit of information so that we can go through everything and the church will have a reference point. Again, we're using the PV20 USB. USB obviously meaning that it has capability of an output on the back of the mixer that we can plug a USB cable in and take it to a computer in case we'd like to do some future streaming and or recording. The sound system in the sanctuary, there'll be another video showing a little bit of the sanctuary. We've set up in 3 different zones. One zone obviously is the main seating area for the sanctuary. We're also providing what we call a monitor mix to the choir area, seated choir area, and a monitor mix to the altar area. A monitor mix is where we can independently control sound that's happening at a different location. For example, if we look at our audio mixer here, we keep our master volume set at just below 0, about -6, I believe it is. And then we have an individual channel. Obviously, we have about 20 channels all the way across, and they control choir microphones, lectern, pulpit mic, a variety of wireless microphones, wireless 11, 12, 13, 14, pastor's microphone, and such. And then we're going to be using CD playback and media playback. Of course, all of these, sorry about that, all of these channels are labeled as such, and they respond as such. Let me turn this down a little bit further. There we go. Sorry for the wiggly stuff. Okay, so there again, let's talk about how we get sound into the main sanctuary. These are what we call our faders or our sliders, and what they do is they control the independent level control for that particular channel that we're dealing with. Before I started this, I went ahead and put in a classical CD that I have into the CD player that the church currently owns. If we'll notice here, this is a signal indicator. So if music is playing or if someone actually comes up and starts speaking into a microphone, this green signal light will illuminate telling me that something's going on in this channel, that at that time I either need to decide to turn it up or down or on or off. In this particular situation, we have a mute switch, and when I turn the mute switch on, that actually kills what sound goes to either the main sanctuary or any of our stage monitors. Now, I'm going to turn this up. I'm going to slide up the fader. And what you hear in the background is some classical music that I'm playing from a CD. To understand what this entire channel does, I'm going to turn this down for these purposes. To go back to what I was talking about, we can actually mute the channel, which kills it, turns it off at all locations. I can turn it down in the sanctuary. And then I have a variety of buttons here that I can deal with. First is the pan control. Pan control is actually irrelevant on most mixers, but we did on purpose set up this sanctuary in stereo. And the reason we did that is because we have the choir located on one side of the sanctuary so that we could turn those choir speakers over to the other side of the sanctuary. Just above that, there is a red button that has a label right above it called EFX. We have installed subwoofers in the sanctuary, and specific items such as music playback might like to have subwoofer capability, so we can increase this EFX button, and that will allow sound to go to the designated subwoofers that are located up top at the church where the pipe organ's at. I can increase my level and increase the amount of bass as the subwoofers kick in, or turn them completely off. Now, we put the subwoofers in because it's usually recommended to use that for music source. I'd be very careful about using them on other items such as wireless microphones, choir microphones, lecterns, pulpits, those type of microphones. Generally, music only is what comes in handy with them. Above that, you'll see another control that says Monitor 2. Monitor 2 actually controls 2 little speakers that we have mounted by the altar. Now, it's important to know that every system is independent of each other. This controls my sanctuary. This controls the level of that channel going to my monitor 2, which are two small monitor speakers over by the altar area. And then monitor 1, this next button, supplies that sound going over to my choir area, which we'll show you on a separate video. So there again, we have three independent sound systems that we need to be thinking about at all times. Sanctuary for the average congregation seated to hear, altar for anything to be heard on stage, and then choir, which provides sound over to our choir area. Now, I'm going to turn our music back up, and then I'm going to run up to this section here, the blue section, and this is basically just tone control, highs, mids, and lows, which, as everybody knows, on an equalizer, that's bass or treble, and that allows us to taste any type of setting we'd like to do. For example, if we had someone who was speaking on a microphone and they may not be very clear or very intelligible, then we could increase the amount of highs, which would in turn increase the sibilance and intelligibility in their microphone. Probably the most important control on the mixer is this button right up here, which is called the gain control. It runs all the way across the mixer, and it is the master volume for that entire channel. So going back to what we learned previously, we know we have this controlling the sanctuary, this controlling altar speakers, this controlling choir speakers, and now this becomes our gain control. This is actually the master volume control for the entire channel. So should I find the need to increase or decrease that, I'm turning all three systems up simultaneously. So I have to be very careful with my gain control, and I'd recommend, unless there are drastic problems that are happening or something that needs to be changed, I'd recommend that the gain control be left preferably in the same spot. I'm going to tilt my camera up slightly. And this particular mixer is kind of nice because it allows us to combine multiple channels. Very important, this little button right here, this is called AB input. Actually have an input into the channel here, and then also have another input to the channel right behind it. This AB switch allows me to push that up, and if I had another source of device of sound playing through there, we would be hearing that device at that time. If I push this down, now I'm listening to this source. Same way with the other channel. So I could actually have 4 different playback sources happening in just 2 channels. So this little AB switch is very nice because it allows me to select between an input here and an input here. Obviously, I wouldn't be playing some type of music playback 2 sources at one time, so this allows me to not use up a whole lot of channels of the mixer. Okay, that's a general overview of the mixer. We're going to do a couple other things as far as a little tour of the equipment. We're going to do that with the iPad in just a few. Thanks.